I was outside walking again, and I seen the truck coming, and I held my breath and I dashed all the way back to my house. Well, hello, health heroes. Wow, we are close. That was awkward. Sorry about that. Oh, okay, so I just got in from my walk. It is super foggy out there, and I feel like this isn't in focus. Okay, well, close enough. Anyway, so I just wanted to kind of update with you guys and talk about something that's on my mind recently, like just today. It's going to be about air pollutants, air pollution, things like that. Things in the air that can trigger our autoimmune disease, trigger a symptom, trigger a flare. Oh, but before we get into that, this video is actually sponsored by Lily Bee Wraps. I've got one here to show you. Lily Bee Wrap is a guilt-free, totally reusable alternative to plastic wrap. Homemade with 100% cotton and our unique blend of beeswax, tree resin, and organic coconut oil. Keep food fresh without harsh plastic chemicals. These are ideal for sandwiches, snacks of all kinds, from nuts and seeds to fruits. And this is a replacement for all those plastic bags, which I don't use anymore. It gets expensive using these all the time, so having something that is reusable is really awesome, and it is compostable. It's not gonna like end up in a landfill somewhere. It's gonna naturally degrade on its own, so that is really cool. It's something I'm into. I like eco-friendly products. Personally, I'm trying to keep my carbon footprint as low as possible. I'm not zero waste or anything, but I think that's like a good long-term goal for everyone to have. And it has a 365 use guarantee, so you will get your use out of it. It has a long life. So instead of using a plastic bag every day, maybe try this. I will leave the link in the description where you can find this, and you can help support me and this great company at the same time. Yeah, that's good. So let's talk about, first of all, these scents, alright? Like, everyone has a Scentsy or a diffuser. Okay, I have a diffuser, and I do love it, and I do use it, and it does help me. But all these different scents aren't always natural, right? And even if they are natural, we can also have a personal intolerance to them. Some of these scents, like, they just trigger us, like, and we're all a little different, right? So the reason I talked about this, I want to talk about this, is because at work, diffusers and Scentsy's and all these other things were banned, and I am really, okay, like, I'm gonna sound like a Nazi, right? But I'm happy they were banned, because I used to go into a room, right, and I would be triggered. Not like a flare or whatever, but I'd get like a headache, or like sinuses would be intense, like, you know, thickening of my sinus. Anyway, I would have a symptom, right? And I think that happens for a lot of people unknowingly. Like, they're gonna come across this and not know why this is happening. And I mean, of course, the only reason why I know is because, you know, I found all my triggers. I've reduced inflammation enough to know, like, hey, when it happens, I know what it is, right? Because everything else is on point. I'm not saying it's perfect, but, you know, it's good. There are lots of air pollutants, okay? There are sprays and cleaners. Even there are chemicals that will come off of certain, like, objects that you buy from the store. Some people are more sensitive to others, of course, when it comes to smells and sinus things. And some people are more, you know, like, triggered by, like, diet and anything. But anything that causes inflammation in our lives, in our lifestyles, can be a trigger, okay? So just keep that in mind. I have a friend that is triggered by the smell of, I think it's Comet, or I don't know, it's some kind of cleaner. Anyway, she almost passed out in her bathroom a couple times just by using this cleaner. And there was like air coming through and everything. So it's like, you could be triggered by anything. I tried to stick to like all natural stuff, and not just all natural, but very particular things that I know I'm not triggered by, and actually maybe even be beneficial. So when I clean, I use like apple cider vinegar mixed with some water. You could use all kinds of natural cleaners, and you can find them everywhere. Just make sure you check the ingredients of everything. Another thing is like, this is more towards the summer. I know it's coming into fall. My favorite time of the year. I'm so happy. I am a basic pumpkin spice guy, even though I can't have pumpkin spice, but I like the cinnamon and all that stuff, and pumpkin. But yeah, we'll get into recipes soon, hopefully. This was actually last year I experienced this. I was walking. Sometimes I go out and I just walk around my house, like around the block. It's easy. I'm not gonna get lost. When I'm walking in a giant circle, it's like I don't have to focus on things. I like kind of tune out and listen to music, and I can just think, and it's kind of, I guess that would be a form of meditation, and that really helps me a lot. But anyway, it was summer and the mosquitoes were out, and here comes the mosquito truck, right, spraying all the killer bug spray pesticides everywhere. And it triggered me. Like, yeah, I was like, oh, I better get it inside. But yeah, I breathed that in, and I had a flare, like a bad flare too. So it was, I really put it on the level as almost like a nightshade. And maybe these pesticides were made with some of these nightshade chemicals. I don't know, like solanine or something like that. Something, actually, in nightshades there is a chemical called solanine that is a natural bug repellent. It's a natural pesticide. So that actually kind of makes sense. So I didn't think about that before. That's interesting. So this summer, when I was outside walking again, and I seen the truck coming, and I held my breath and I dashed all the way back to my house. It was only like a block and a half or whatever, but I ran as fast as I could, and I closed my windows, and yeah, it's kind of embarrassing, but it's also like, you know, it's a survival thing. Like, I know I have to do that. It is kind of dumb, but you know, sometimes we I don't know. Anyway, and that comes to my next point. Keeping your windows open at night, a lot of people will have symptoms in the morning or whatever. That actually could be because these pesticides and chemicals or whatever the city is spraying could be coming in your house. You could be breathing in while you sleep. It could be a thing. It might not be a thing for you, but at night I'll keep the air conditioner on, and I will keep the filter clean as well. I will make sure to change your filter at least every, 90 days, 3 months. I try to clean it, or I don't clean it. I try to change the filter fairly often. That way I don't get a lot of allergens and pollen and dust build up, because dust, pollen, all these things in the air, even in your house, especially in your house, and mold, all that stuff, it builds up and it will trigger you. I promise, okay? A lot of people are very susceptible to this. I am, especially. I work in a place that has some dust. I'm not sure if I've talked about that before. Anyway, their dust builds up, right? And if I'm like hanging out really close to it and breathing it in, I will have a flare. Granted, I'm not as like triggered by that as I would be like, I don't know, yeah, gluten or something, but it is there. It is a thing, right? So just be aware of that. Be aware of your surroundings, and it might even be when you're out walking and it's like a really windy day and it's like really dusty. You know, I live in Kansas, so it's like the Dust Bowl, right? And that is a factor. So I try to be careful, even when people are out. Like, I see people mowing their lawns. I'm like, you don't really want to be breathing in. You know, the grass will give off a chemical when it is killed or sliced, or a lot of plants will do that, right? It's like a natural defense mechanism, and you will be breathing in those chemicals. Okay, I know that sounds a little crazy. It's a little out there. I'll admit it is. I guess people with like allergies would probably experience that the most, right? And those people that are probably the most compromised. Their sinuses and all that whole respiratory system. People that are accustomed to getting allergies and I used to have all kinds of crazy allergies and sinusitis and all this other stuff, and then I quit sugar and all the dairy and all that other stuff, and then of course I don't have any of those symptoms anymore. So specifically when talking about the diffuser, I use things like orange citrus peel, just 100% orange peel oil, or other citrus fruits. To me, that has been the most safest thing. I highly recommend, and I made this, I actually failed at this in the beginning because I actually bought a big box of natural oils, but I bought the blends, right? So it was like eucalyptus mixed with tree oil and mint, you know, all this other stuff. And I would say I would highly recommend you don't do that, because you might be triggered by one of those ingredients, right? And if you have a headache while you're laying down, you may not know, like, you're going to be, oh, I can't use this at all. But maybe one of those things might be beneficiary to you. You know, a lot of different natural oils can actually be used medicinally, right? I'm not talking about consumable, but I'm talking about breathing in it. Although there is a use for, you know, medicinal consumption of natural oils. But I'm not going to talk about that, maybe later on. I'm not the expert on that at all. A lot of people are triggered by eucalyptus and especially tea tree oil. In fact, they can be toxic. In fact, all of these oils can be toxic in any dose, right? Or a certain dose for you. It's going to be different for everybody. So just be careful. Like, these things may be great and like remind you of the holidays or whatever, and actually be have its own benefits, but there also may be negative consequences as well. So just be aware that not everything natural is necessarily safe, right? Drop a like, I appreciate it. Maybe share the video. That really helps me out. Thanks for watching. Oh, don't forget to subscribe. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already, okay? That helps me too. See you next time.